webinar tonight. I don't know if you are familiar with Danny, but she is an awesome life management coach. Um, I've known Danny personally for over a year now, and Danny's been an amazing coach for me and my business and just helping me to get out of debt. And I love working with her. So I hope you're ready for an amazing night for her speaking to us. What a treat to have her do this for us, for one. And so I hope you have your water, or your tea, or your pen and paper ready because she's going to give us some awesome information. And anytime I get to hear Danny coach, I always take amazing notes because she always has awesome nuggets of wisdom that sometimes I regret if I don't have it written down. So I hope you're ready for the webinar tonight because it's going to be amazing. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce Danny to you now. Thank you so much for doing this, Danny.
Thanks so much, Erin. All right, folks. Like she said, make sure you have a notebook and pen ready. We will be doing a little bit of writing tonight as we work through some of your hurdles and making sure that you're doing what you need to be doing to keep you happy and productive. Uh, as Erin said, I'm a life management coach, and you can find my blog at dannyschnockenberg.com. And we are just going to go ahead and jump into this tonight. I see we still have people jumping on, and probably will for a little bit. Don't worry, folks, we are recording, so you will be able to catch what you missed. All right. Well, first I'm going to tell you just a little bit about me and how I got to where I am right now. As you can see, I have 4 little ones. They are all within 4 years of each other, a little over 4 years of each other. You have Carson in the middle, she's 5. Brett on the far right, he's 3. And the twins are now 18 months. When this picture was taken, they were only about, 6, 7 months old. Long time ago, it seems. Well, as you can imagine, our household is crazy. And I'm a work at home mom. I have 3 businesses. I'm going to school and taking care of a family with a husband that travels. So we definitely had to work out a lot of routines and time management to make sure that we're living intentionally and really working towards meeting our goals as a family, and for me, just as an individual with my businesses and everything. And it definitely gets crazy with 4 kids at home. We finally had our oldest start kindergarten this year, and I didn't think 3 kids over 4 would be such a difference, but it is. And it's taken some adjusting, but we are definitely getting there. A year ago, I was an absolutely overwhelmed mom. Um, cannot even begin to describe how overwhelmed I was. Um, I was just juggling too many things between the businesses and being a wife and being a mom. And I was still suffering from guilt over all the things that I wasn't doing. And that was just crazy. And it took me a long time to realize how crazy that was. I was punishing myself for not being able to do more. And it got to a point where I was so overwhelmed that I would basically have mental breakdowns because of how much was on my plate, but I also wasn't willing to get rid of anything. And this really became a vicious cycle, and it was hurting my marriage, it was hurting my kids because I wasn't being the mom I should be, wasn't being the wife I should be. And it finally came down to a point where I knew something had to give. We had to figure out a way to adjust and get this time management thing down so that we really could function as a family. So when I finally hit that breaking point and I kind of started on this journey of figuring out how do I control my time like we're learning to control our money? How do we control it so it doesn't control us? I learned a couple of really important things right off the bat. The first thing I learned was I wasn't alone. I remember feeling when I was so overwhelmed that there must be something wrong with me. But as I started finding out and when I started looking, I discovered that this plagues so many women. We are all just almost oppressed by this superwoman syndrome. We think we can do it all because we think society expects us to do it all and with perfect hair and makeup and a skinny body while we're at it. And that's just not realistic. Yet we still keep chasing this ideal. And even those of us that have always kind of been away from the norm and not really cared what the ideal is, somehow we still fall into this. And I found it's getting worse. especially with blogs and Pinterest and Facebook, these are all highlight reels of people's lives. It's not really reality. We see all these awesome things that people are doing, these huge, all natural meals that people are, cooking for their families every night from scratch, and these amazing holiday decors that I know I don't have time for. I don't know about you all. And just all this stuff. And we want to keep up. We want to have that home and gardens house. And we want to be an entrepreneur. And we want to be at every kid's function. And we see all these things and we get all these things we want to do. And then we gather all these ideas and we just get overwhelmed. And you're not alone when you're feeling that way. And you're not the only person struggling with it. And that was something I was kind of surprised to learn when I started on this journey. But not alone. The second thing that I really learned is, especially as an entrepreneur, work-life balance is a myth. Okay? It's just not gonna happen. If there was a balance of work and life, can you imagine how many arms it would have to have? Because work and life aren't our only two things. We also have parenting. Imagine an arm for each kid. And then you're a wife, there's another arm. And then your community things, and if you're a student, you'd have an 8, 9, 10, 11 armed scale, and that's never going to balance, folks. Work-life balance is a myth. Life is a journey. Think of it more as a roadmap, and these different areas of your life or states you're going to be in. You're going to come back and visit a lot of these states really often. You're going to take scenic routes. You're never going to have a perfect balance between all of these things. And chasing that ideal is just making things harder on you than it needs to be. Especially in my life, I've found when I have 3 businesses and I have 4 kids, sometimes something's got to give. Something's got to be a priority over something else. And I'm extremely blessed to have a husband that really understands this and works with me on this, because there are weeks when I'm having, a huge client load for some reason. I try to keep it balanced, but it happens. Or conferences, or I'm a student too, so when finals come around and stuff, there's weeks where those have to be my priority, and my husband is awesome at stepping in and kind of handling everything else for me while I get that taken care of, because he knows that I'm going to turn around and I'm going to make my family a priority for the next couple days to make up for that, and he can count on that, and I know that sometimes that's going to work for him too. So it's really about having a good partnership in it and understanding that sometimes priorities are going to shift. And so that's just something we've all heard our whole lives, is that you have to have this balance. And that's just not how life works. So don't go chasing that. Sorry. All right. Well, time management is like the biggest thing for people. And all I ever hear is, I wish there were more hours in the day, or I don't have time for that, especially when it comes to things we really should be paying attention to. People saying, I don't have time for taking care of myself. That's a huge mom thing. Work at home moms, stay at home moms. Work away from home moms, whatever we're calling you all. There's all these. It's across the board. All of these women out there that feel like they don't have time to take care of themselves, and that's your health and your sanity a lot of times. So that's something where we really need to look at some of these people that are achieving extraordinary things. They have the same number of hours in a week that we do. They haven't made a deal with the devil and have 233 while we're stuck with 168. Everybody has the same number of hours in a week. So we're going to break this down a little bit, okay? And I want you to go ahead and have your pens and papers ready, because we're here in a couple minutes. We're going to start working through some stuff. Everybody has 168 hours. Let's assume that you have a normal J job. Well, there's 40 hours. That leaves you with, 128 hours. Let's assume everybody gets a full 8 hours of sleep every night. It's funny, right? I don't remember the last time I got 8 hours of sleep. That'd be another 56 hours. So that leaves you with 72 hours that aren't devoted to sleep and work. Okay? Well, we'll go ahead and assume that, cleaning and cooking and stuff's probably going to take up quite a bit. So you probably still have another 40 hours a week. That's a whole nother full-time job, ladies. What are you doing with that time? Trust me, I was shocked the first time I saw these numbers. I was like, really? I'm wasting that much time during my week? Where are these hours going? What on earth am I doing with these? So, what I want you to do right now is write down and tell me, what is it that you're doing with your 72 hours? Write it down. Everything you're doing that's taking up those 72 hours. Scratch it out. Some of these things are going to be things you don't want to admit doing. Like, how many hours a week do you spend on Facebook, particularly in the Planner Addicts group? We won't talk about my number. Take a minute and write down everything you're doing during those 72 hours. Sure, some of you are still writing, but we're going to go ahead and talk on a little bit. Going through this list, I want you to circle the things you don't like doing. Most of you can start with cleaning the house. Some of you can probably circle cooking. Circle anything that you wrote down that you're doing in those 72 hours that you wish you weren't. Be honest. Sure, Pinterest tells us we should like doing some of these things. We don't. Be totally honest with yourself as you're going through and circling these. All right. Now I want you to go look at these items that you circled on your list. You have 3 choices about these items. You can suck it up and do them. I mean, we can't stop cooking for our families for the most part unless we want to eat out all the time, and that's not good for your budget. See my Simplify Money group if you have issues with that. So there's going to be some things you can't get rid of. They're necessary, okay? And we just kind of have to suck it up and deal with those. Other things on that list, though, we can delegate, especially for those of you with kids, elementary school and up. Don't be afraid to delegate. They can do their own laundry. They may not do it the way you want them to do it. You can wash it, dry it, throw it in a basket, and they can put it away. And this is where a lot of us struggle. We don't like to delegate. We really don't. And it's a mystery to me why, but I'm in the same boat. I don't like to do it. I like things being done my way. But something I've learned as I started really looking at where I'm spending my time is that I had to draw a line. At some point, I had to realize that I could be doing other things with my time that would benefit my family more than just establishing my OCD. So my 3-year-old and my 5-year-old put their own laundry away. It may not get hung up right. It may face the wrong direction, and their stuff may not be quite folded in their drawers. But that's saving me about an hour a week right there, because I have 4 little kids. My husband may not put the dishes away quite how I want them, or load the dishwasher in the most efficient manner, but hey, if it's getting clean and it's getting put in the cabinets, that's saving me time. There will be things that don't get done quite right, but the matter is you're not having to do it. So definitely think about what you can delegate to your family. When you've seen what you can delegate to your family, and you can get really creative there, see what you can delegate outside of it. Some people hate grocery shopping. It may be worth it to look into it and see how much it would cost to have them done. You can have it done and delivered to your house in a lot of places, especially if you live in a metro area. Or a lot of stores now are offering where basically you can order online and just go pick it up. This can save you a lot of time. Metro areas also have a lot of errand running services. So if that's something you just don't like doing, consider that. If you don't like being your child's chauffeur, lots of evening activities and stuff, see if you can work it out with other families. So maybe you only have to do it once a week rather than running out every day. So many other things you can delegate. High up on my priority list right now is finding a cleaning lady. It has been my income goal for a while now with one of my businesses, is when I get to a certain amount, I'm hiring somebody to clean my house. Which is really funny because, y'all, I market green cleaning supplies. I love using them, but I don't love how much time it takes out of my day. It'd be one less thing I can worry about. So find the things that are sucking up your time that you don't want to do. Okay? So go through that list, the things you circled, and figure out what you can get rid of. The third thing that we can do, because I said there were 3 and we've only talked about 2, those circled things, you can choose to just let them go. Obviously, you can't just let go of cleaning your house. But if you circled a community activity you're not thrilled about, give yourself permission to let it go. If it's not something you're getting enjoyment out of, it's not blessing you, it's a time suck. Okay? And I know a lot of you, this is hard. Really, really, really hard. But if it's something that's not helping you grow, let it go. Okay? There are just some things that just are not worth it. Okay? Overall, folks, living a life of contentment is really simple. There's 2 things you have to do. You have to do more of what you love and less of what you don't. I know this sounds crazy simple, but what I also know is that so many people look past this. You have the power to say no to things you don't want to do. And again, as women, we have a hard time with this. We get volunteered to be on the PTO. We get asked to run a committee for our church. And sometimes these are things we want to do, and that is perfectly fine. Go ahead, say yes if it's something you want to do. If it's something you should do, not something you want to do, and don't do it. And if you don't want to do it, use the power of no. Okay, you need to be protective of those 72 hours and make sure that you're using them for things that you want and need to do, not things that other people want and need you to do. Okay, kids aside, we kind of got to do what they need us to do. So once you have, protected these hours, make sure that you're keeping it that way. Next, I want you to write down a not to-do list. I know, this sounds crazy. Why would I write down a list of things I'm not going to do? Well, ladies, what you're doing is you're giving yourself permission not to do these things. You know what the first thing on my not to-do list is? Anything related to the PTO. I'm sure I sound like a horrible parent saying that, but I was really excited with my oldest starting school. I was like, oh, I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm going to be a room parent. I'm going to do the PTO. And then school started, and we started getting the notes from the PTO. And it occurred to me, I run 3 businesses, and I still have 3 little not potty trained kids at home. I can't take them to the PTO meetings that are at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. The only childcare they offer is for potty trained only. I have 3 that aren't. I already have a sitter coming 2 days a week so I can work. I can't afford her for another day for me to go do PTO, which is probably just going to stress me out and add more on my plate. That's the first thing on my not to do list. The second thing on my not to do list is anything like mommy groups and play dates and stuff that I'm just not friendly with the people. There is a certain amount of things I do to step out and meet new people, especially because we've only been in this town for a couple months. But I've already kind of found a couple groups where I just don't really fit in, and I'm not there on my permission to say no list. So write down a list of things that you're not going to do. Honestly, I'm not worried about cleaning up the handprints on my window every day. I used to really do that. I used to wash my front windows every day. I had to put that on my not to do list. And you will find these things. Big things that get you out of the house, little things. Even write down worrying about things on your not to do list. I used to waste so much time worrying about things. What's the point? It's like a rocking chair. You can rock all you want, but you're not going to go anywhere. So make that list of things that you're not going to do. Post it somewhere where you can see it, especially if it's things that you do quite often. Like, I'm not going to check my Facebook groups more than, once every 3 hours. Okay, write down the list of things you're not going to do. You're giving yourself permission to cut the fat and ignore the static in your life. All right, well, now that we have cleared our schedules, it's time to look at the things that you are going to do. And for all you planner addicts, these are the lists you keep making but not completing. I have been so guilty of this. And my husband still makes fun of me because as we've been unpacking boxes, he has found random scrap paper lists and notebooks of lists, and even a list of lists I need to make. I'm not sure I'm ever going to live that one down. But it was there. What we need to do is we need to actually start completing our lists when we make them. And one of the things that I know that we all do, and this meme really gets me every time, is we get in this point where we've looked at our list, we've written our list, and we've kind of walked off and left it. And for me, I walk into my kitchen and I'll stand there and be like, I'm supposed to be doing something, aren't I? But I can't figure out what it is I'm doing. Oh, can you all hear me now? Getting messages that I got disconnected. Okay, perfect. So, now my slides disappear. Okay, I walk into the kitchen, and I'll stand there, I'll figure out what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I know I walked in there with a purpose. Well, during the day, my laptop lives on the island in the middle of our kitchen. So the first thing I do is I walk to my laptop. And I always have like the same 5 or 6 tabs open since I work from home and I've usually talking to clients and stuff throughout the day. So I'll check Facebook, realize that there's not even any new posts in my feed since the last time I checked Facebook. I'll check my work email, no new emails. I'll check my site stats, which have gone up like 3 views because it's only been 30 seconds since I touched it. And I'll go through all my tabs and realize nothing's changed. And usually about the time I get back to that tab on the left, the first one again, I'm like, oh, this is not what I'm doing. I'm wasting time. It's because my brain feels that trigger. That is my rut, and that is my trigger. I bet if you all think about it, you have a rut too. It's that thing you do when you're just kind of zoning out, when you're avoiding doing something. And you need to create in yourself a trigger that will say, oh, hey, I'm wasting time, and put you back on track. Another thing that really helps me is leaving my planner with my daily agenda sheet that I work off every day on the island next to my laptop, because typically I'll see it first. And so I won't waste time doing my laptop. When I do catch myself doing that cycle, the first thing I do is shut my laptop, because obviously I wasn't doing anything important on it. And so that takes that distraction right out the window. So what we're going to do is we're going to really pay attention to the things that we are going to do. So next to that to don't list, I want you to make a list of things you wish you could spend more time doing. Okay? Give you just a minute to work out a couple things on that list. And these can be little things from, take a shower daily. Those of you with little ones 2 and under will totally get that. Or it could be big things like work towards my goal of paying off our debt. Just anything that you think that 72 extra hours you could carve just a little bit out of it to help you reach these goals. So write down things you wish you could do in those extra hours. I bet other people have lots of the half-done craft projects like I do. Things we wish we could finish. Things our husbands wish we'd finish and get out of the way. All right, hopefully you've got a few things now that you wish you could spend more time doing. So I want you to go back at that list that you just wrote. Double check that you didn't write anything that you should be doing. Remember, we talked about should earlier. Should is what built that superwoman syndrome that we talked about in the very beginning. Okay, we don't like shoulds. Shoulds come out of Pinterest and home and gardens and keeping up with your friends on Facebook and all the things they're doing. We don't like shoulds. Okay? So if you wrote anything in that things you wish you'd spend more time doing where when you read it, your brain says should before it, just scratch it out. When you go chasing shoulds, you're setting yourself up to fail. Because we set these goals, and I've done it. These are the goals that every time you make a goal list, they're still there because you've never worked towards them for more than like 2 days. And that's because they're just not that important to you. You might think they're important to you, which is why they keep getting back on the list. But most likely it's a society pressure that's put it there. Like, this is embarrassing, but the one that gets me is I should work out every day. I'm chasing after 4 tiny kids. As much as I lift them in and out of their high chairs and in and out of their beds, my strength training is done. Every time I have to go chase them to get whatever, oh, this morning it was the food coloring. Oh man, there's my cardio. Okay, working out really isn't a priority for me right now, but for the longest time, that kept making my list. So really, really, really evaluate shoulds. Okay, now for some people, exercise is a need. I have friends that do not function mentally if they do not get their exercise in. And some that it is extremely important to their health and to some of their other goals to where that works. But for some of us, we keep putting things like this on our list when they're not all that important to us right now. So really, really, really go back, fine tooth through that list and make sure those are things you really want to do. We don't need any fake should goals in that list. Okay. Now I want you to reread through that list and pick the 2 things. 2. That's it. Just 2. We're not going. You don't need to be working towards a bunch of stuff at once. Pick 2 things on that list that you can start working on today. These are the 2 that are most important to you now. Pay attention. They need to be the ones that are most important to you right now. You may have written a big thing on that list that's not real relevant to your life right this second. Like, we plan on building our dream home in a couple years. And while I could start working on things like finding house plans and stuff for that, I have some other goals that are a lot more relevant to us right now that deserve my focus, like paying off our debt. So also pay attention to the relevance as you're narrowing down to the 2 you want to work on right now. Okay, once you have those, I want you to go ahead and brain dump everything that you could do as an action step to complete and work towards doing that. So if something you wanted to spend more time doing was crafting, scrapbooking, some action steps you could take to do that would be to organize the craft stuff. And you can even break that down even further into smaller tasks. Setting up a designated spot for it. Printing the pictures to go in it. I mean, so many different small tasks that will make that up. Because if you just keep writing start whatever your child's name's scrapbook, 3rd grade scrapbook or whatever on your list, that's overwhelming. And that's one of the things that's going to stop you. That's a hurdle. So we really want to avoid that by breaking down these tasks into small things that you can look at and go, oh, hey, I can go do that real quick. Okay, so brain dump them all. Don't worry about putting them in order. Just brain dump all the things you could do for those 2 tasks onto your paper right now. And this is all falling into you have those 72 hours and you want to use that time wisely. Now that we've found all this time, and by the time you get your household tasks in there, again, we're talking 30, 40 hours a week left over. You really want to use it wisely. I know a lot of us, when we thought about what am I doing with that time, watching TV probably popped up on that list. It used to be bad. We haven't had cable in 3 years. We just got it back 2 months ago when we moved. And I have been amazed at how much time I've spent watching TV this last 2 months, and I've really had to shake myself out of it. Now I really only watch in the evenings with my husband, and I'm usually multitasking. I'm folding laundry or, working, doing stuff on my laptop that doesn't require, 100% of my attention. But I make a rule that the TV doesn't come on during the day because it really is a time suck. So make sure that you're spending these 2 or all this hours that we found on things that matter to you, because what you pay attention to grows. Kind of think of it like this. When you buy a new car, suddenly you see that make and model everywhere. You wouldn't have noticed them 2 months ago. But when you buy that new car, suddenly every other vehicle you see is the same as yours. It's because it's crossed your awareness and you're paying attention to it, so your awareness of it grows. And that goes with anything in life. It's also part of the law of attraction. So when I really started paying attention to I got an activity band tracker probably like 8 months ago. And suddenly I was paying attention to all this activity that I was doing that I really never noticed before because it had been brought to my awareness. And this goes with anything. And through that, my daily activity and not exercising, just what I do, grew because I was paying attention to it. I was paying attention to how many steps I was taking across the kitchen to get something and would intentionally make multiple steps. So what I was paying attention to grew. And this is going to go with everything. Obviously, if you're paying attention to the TV, there's not much productive growing there. Just, you become aware of more shows that are on because you're watching the commercials. So really pay attention to what you're doing. If you are an entrepreneur, paying attention to your clients and your customers and your products are going to grow your business. Paying attention to Candy Crush is not. So really, really, really focus on making sure that you're spending these hours doing things that need to be done. All right, hopefully you all have brain dumped all of those action steps. And we are going to go ahead and pick 2 action steps for each one of those 2 goals, dreams, items you want to work on that you can do this week. Just 2. Okay? And don't try and think in your head ahead what the next steps will be. Just 2 for each one. Okay? Because now you have broken up these big things that you want to do into things that should take less than 30 minutes. Okay? Do you guys think you have an hour this week to devote to doing those 2 things? Okay? I bet you can find an hour. I mean, we've just found you 40. I'm sure you can take 1 hour out of that. 1 hour for the week. I'm not even talking an hour a night. 1 hour for the week to do those 4 tasks that you're down to, 2 for each goal. If you don't think you can do that, we really need to chat. Okay? Now, the next part of this is where we're going to talk about what actually stops you from doing these things. We have walked you through how to find the time, how to figure out what you're going to do so you're not overwhelmed looking at a 20 bulletin list. Okay? So, what is going to stop you from doing these things? And this is where I've been asking you all questions all week about what your hurdles are. Okay? Procrastination, my friends. Procrastination. We all do it. And somebody posted this in another one of my groups, and I know I shared it in the Simplified Goal Planning group because it cracked me up at the same time that it hit home. So, over in the little chat box on the right-hand side, tell me what you are. Okay? I want to see where everybody's falling here. All right, we have somebody that is the internet researcher. Everybody else find in the box. You have the questions box. Another internet researcher. The side tracker, the watcher. A lot of side trackers and internet researchers coming on. All right, I have to admit, I am the side tracker, the cleaner, and the list maker. And I am absolutely sure we have a lot of list makers that just aren't admitting it in here. My thing is about my side tracker and my cleaner is they're kind of mixed. I will go, like, there's hardly ever any laundry to do in my house because I'll do laundry before I'll do anything else. It's weird, but it happens. So, procrastination is most definitely the biggest hurdle to actually getting the things done on your list. So, what we're going to do is we are going to come up with some procrastination busters, okay? So, which ones are you? Okay, we've got a lot of internet researchers and sidetrackers. So, the problem with you all is you get distracted really easily. Okay? Um, and this is going to apply to the social sharer and the watcher and a couple of these. Okay? You have all these distractions. You need to shut them off. Okay? Oh, we have a panicker now and a napper. All right. So, for those of you that that distraction is your main thing, we're going to shut off the distractions. You all aren't going to like me. The first thing that you need to do is delete the Facebook app off your phone. I am sure that a lot of you have an issue with the Facebook app. I did. I would find myself scrolling through mindlessly, no matter how many times I'd seen what everybody had said already, because I just did it 2 minutes ago. So I removed it. And I'm sure a lot of you are going, y'all, you nuts, right? Right? Guess what? It sucks. You will have withdrawals like you're quitting cocaine. Not even kidding. It'll last about 3-4 days, and you'll get over it. You will be amazed how much extra time you have, and how you suddenly start actually paying attention to what your spouse is saying, and how much time you had to play with your kids. It's amazing how much time Facebook sucks out of your life. While you're at it, delete your games. Save like one game for playing while you're waiting in line. Get rid of the rest of them. There is no reason to have them. What I did when I got rid of the Facebook app on my phone is I downloaded the Messenger app and the Pages app, since I'm a business owner and I don't want to miss any client things. And it's easy to post like when I'm doing pictures from my phone. You don't need the main Facebook app. It is completely a waste of time. Get rid of it. Okay? You'll thank me after about the first week. For the first week, you're gonna hate me. Just get rid of it. Get rid of most of your games. Any of these things that you use to procrastinate to do other things, just ditch them. Honestly, cutting cable killed a lot of my procrastination techniques. I had Hulu and Netflix, but it just wasn't the same. It didn't have the same pull that that DVR box did. Sorry. So just start knocking those out. When, for those of you work at home or anybody that's glued to a computer all day, when you're actually working on a task, close out your email, close out that Facebook tab. Don't even think about opening up Pinterest. Keep them closed. I am probably one of the worst when it comes to this. I used to be, because you know how Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest all have those little notification numbers on the tabs? I hated to see numbers. If I saw one, I had to go click over and see what it was. So, a task that should have taken me 20 minutes, typing up a single blog post, was suddenly taking 2 hours because I was getting distracted and clicking over. Shut them all down. You don't need those open when you're working on that task, okay? Some of you know I have a sitter that comes in twice a week. She comes in 9 to 1 Tuesdays and Thursdays. What I get done in those 8 hours used to take me all week, like 12 hours a day all week. Since I have had her coming, I have found that I can focus. I'm not worried about getting my 18-month-old twins to stop jumping off the arm of the couch or climbing on the table or removing all my Pyrex from the cabinets, and I can focus. I can do these things. Well, I thought that would be enough. And the first 2 weeks she was here, I still wasn't getting anything done. Like, I would come out after those 4 hours and still had not accomplished the two things that I went in to accomplish. And what I found I was doing was I was spending too much time talking to clients on Facebook and checking my email and trying to deal with the things that were coming in on my email. I call this putting out fires. They were fires that didn't need to be put out. They were things that could have easily waited and things I could have taken care of while distracted by the kids. So I learned that when I had that designated time, I needed to focus, because then I could get rid of all that stuff that was going to take time away from my family later on, and get it done because I could focus. So that's when I started shutting all that stuff out. And you can do this too, even if you're not a work at home mom. For those of you that work in an office, screen your phone calls. Sounds silly and sounds a little bit rude, but it really works. Who else has the mother-in-law or the grandma that can talk for 2 or 3 hours? Yeah, and they always call at the worst possible time. Like, mine know my office hours are 9 to 1, and I'm pretty sure that my mother-in-law calls at 9:30 because she seems to think that office hours means no kids to scream in the background, she can talk to me. I don't answer. If it's an emergency, they're going to leave a voicemail, and I'll typically put my voicemails on speaker and listen to it real quick, but I won't call them back until I'm done unless it's an emergency. My husband has pretty much stopped emailing me during my work hours, because he knows I'm not going to reply, because I need to get my stuff done. And so screen those calls, shut off the emails. I turned off all the notifications on my phone. Like, I have other apps that notify, even though I got rid of Facebook. Like, I still let the Messenger app come through with notifications, but I turned the volume off. You just want to completely eliminate these distractions so you can get your stuff done. You'd be surprised that housework that takes you 4, 5, 6 hours takes you all weekend. If you shut everything down, you'll have it done in 2 hours. 2 hours tops. It's amazing what you can do when you don't have the focus. And I know we have a lot of work at home moms on here. I know everybody's not in the point in their business where they can hire a sitter. And I was there. It's only been 2 months since I started having Jerica come in. But I found a way around this before. Um, I had a coffee night with another blogger one night a week, 4 hours of no kids and no husband and no phones. We would have our laptops and we would work for 4 hours. And it was great. And around that, I would also get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and get whatever work I needed to get done, so that I wasn't trying to do that all day. And you would just be amazed at how much you can get done. So, procrastinators, figure out what your rut is and what you're using to procrastinate, and remove that distraction. Now, some of you don't fall into any of that. And if anybody said you're the napper, you're probably going to fall into this category. Decision making fatigue. And it sounds like a really funny term, but hear me out on this one. Our decision making energy has a limit. Every day it has a limit. And I'm not talking big decisions. I'm talking every little thing you have to decide. Like, what am I packing in my kids' lunch? What am I going to eat for breakfast? I'm hungry. Do we have anything left in the house? These little itty bitty decisions that you're making all day add up, and they add up fast. And for most of us, especially with school age children, we use up a very large portion of this decision making energy in the very beginning of the day. Between getting up, getting everybody ready, everybody packed, and everybody out of the house, we use up a good portion of that, because we have all these tiny little decisions to make. Like, what am I going to make them for breakfast? What am I going to pack on their lunch? Do we have enough time for them to catch up the homework they forgot before they have to get on the bus? All of these little itty bitty decisions wear us out. So when we finally get them out the door, we just want to go back to bed. And I have one friend in particular. I can usually bet that about 1 o'clock, at least 3 or 4 days a week, she's going to tell me she wants to go take a nap, because that's exactly where she's at. She has crammed so much into her morning and had to make all of these little decisions that she's just done. And usually it's about that time of day that she's trying to make a big decision, a big business decision, or working on the family budget. And it just takes it all out of her, and she gets fed up and she just can't do it. And so she just walks away and leaves it all. She never comes back and finishes those tasks until they are nipping her in the butt because she forgot about them. I've actually seen this play out in a lot of different women. And it's just because you're spending too much time on these trivial little decisions. When you're meal planning, plan out breakfast and lunch. Get organized. A part of this decision making process is also making a decision of where to look for things that you can't find. Okay, and you're using up this energy on things that you're wasting it on. Get organized. Kids, backpacks, homework, jackets, shoes go in the same place every day. Okay? Important paperwork goes in the same list every day. One of the biggest things that I have done to help myself with this is a daily agenda sheet. You can actually find this on my blog, and I know it's been circulating Pinterest for quite a bit lately. I fill these out every Sunday from Monday through Friday. I have one sheet for every day. Then I don't have to waste time thinking about this stuff for the rest of the week. I do it all on Sunday when I'm clear headed, well rested, and I don't have to think about it for the rest of the week. I know what our meals are all day. I know what cleaning stuff needs to be done those days. And my to do lists are mostly written out. My appointments, errands, calls are written in. I don't have a whole lot to think about. The other thing that this solves, and this is for the list makers, especially for the list makers, this to do list you can see up in the very top, it has the top 5 things and then it has things to accomplish. I know that if my day is going crazy, my twins are cutting their molars and their canines, all 4 teeth, both babies, same time. It's miserable. I have days where all I do is hold and snuggle babies, and I am perfectly okay with that. But when I do get a few minutes, my tasks are already prioritized. I don't have to waste the energy trying to figure out what actually needs to be done and what can wait because I've already sorted it. So this really helps you break down. Ladies, please don't write 20-point to-do lists. You're not going to get them all done. And even if you get 10 done, which is awesome productivity, you're still going to feel guilty about the 10 you didn't do. So definitely break down those lists. And that will take away some of the fatigue issues too. Because I know some of you write those lists and you're tired just looking at it after you've written it. Okay? So we're really going to break that down and overcome this hurdle by putting these systems into place that are going to save us that energy. Okay? And we are getting close to wrapping up, it looks like. So please let me know if you all have any questions about this. If you are not part of the Simplify Money group, or not the Simplify Money, the Simplify Goal Planning group, please let me know and we will we'll go over things. I'm gonna answer a couple questions I'm seeing down here real quick. Are you saying to get rid of Facebook altogether or just from your phone? Just from your phone. I could never sanction getting rid of it altogether. It can be a great networking tool. It's a great way to keep up with family. Not saying get rid of it altogether. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear about that. Just take it off your phone so that you don't have it right there all the time to check. It will really just raise your awareness of what's going on around you and everything. I'm sorry it keeps knocking my screen out as I'm trying to click and answer questions. Can I leave it on my iPad? Yes, Tina. But something you need to do is make sure that you're not picking up the iPad when you need to be doing other things. We kind of have a funny rule about my iPad here. The kids are allowed to get it out in the very first thing in the morning, and my 3-year-old watches it while I'm trying to get my 5-year-old ready and out the door, and then it gets put up. The only thing we do with it during the day is play music on it. And I don't allow myself to play on it until the end of the day when I sit down to watch TV with my husband. This is kind of like our thing. I can't just sit and focus on the TV. My brain is not wired that way. And, but my husband gets annoyed when I have my laptop in my lap while we're trying to spend some quality time with each other, even though he's glued to the TV. So that's my time for Pinterest. My time to catch up on my personal Facebook and stuff is with the iPad in my lap at the end of the day. A lot of objections to the getting rid of Facebook. And I guess now I'm seeing my other slides up here. Another great thing that you guys can do when you're tackling that to-do list is eat your frogs first. And I know that sounds absolutely weird. If you eat a live frog every morning and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day, those tasks that you really don't want to do are your frogs. Those ones that keep getting moved to the next to-do list that you really need to do them. For me, it's always things like call the insurance company. Those are frogs. Knock them out. Get them out of the way. You will feel so much better for doing so. And then another a hurdle I almost forgot about, and because it hits close to home for me, I'm sure, is a lot of you are waiting to work on tasks you need to be doing because of things that are outside of your control. You're waiting for the perfect time to do something or something like that, and you can't do that. It's not fair to yourself. You can't change circumstances, you can't change people. What you can change is how you deal with them. A lot of you are probably familiar with the Serenity Prayer too. And you can really, you just need to shift that focus and stop the blame and stop the waiting and only worry about the things that are in your control. Um, um, go ahead and answer a couple more questions here again. Trisha, yes, it will be recorded, and there's actually also going to be another live session on the 22nd during the day, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. You can find that in the group. Wendy, search Simplify Goal Planning on Facebook, and that is the group. I will make sure I put a link to it again in the event, the time management event. Erica, I just answered your question as well. And I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Aisha? The Glad You Love the Planner printable, it is available on my blog. I'll post a link to it. It can be so helpful. And also I have a goal planning printable that works through the brain dumping your goals and action steps and all of that too, that you guys can have. That's on my blog. All right, well, we are really getting close to time. So I know we have gone over a lot of information tonight, and at the end of the day, I can't solve everybody's issues in just one little workshop. So for those of you who feel like you need more support or help or just need to walk through it, I've opened up some time in my calendar as a gift for you all for coming tonight. So go check your inbox right now in your email, and you should have an email from me with a link to my calendar, so you can go ahead and get your spot now. Now, I didn't open up enough for nearly everybody because I do have a lot of clients right now that I'm helping work through goals and stuff. And if you're interested in that, there should be a link in that email as well. But I do have a few spots open. And so go ahead and go get your spot now and get on my calendar. You and I can look at what's going on for you, and we can get a great plan in place to help you get organized and move forward faster. So go check your email now and get your spot. Okay. And we are going to go ahead and get off of this. The recording will be available probably tomorrow morning in the group, and I will send it all out in email as well. And again, my name is Danny Schnockenberg. You guys can look me up on Facebook. I'll go back to that screen real quick for you so you guys can jot down my name. It's hard to spell. I'll admit that. You guys can find me on Facebook. Look up my blog. It's DannySchnockenberg.com. And I'll get you guys some links in the group. And we will talk later. Make sure you get your spot on my calendar if you need more help. And we'll talk to you then. Good night.